Hey guys, new video here. Atlas 4.3.5. So I'm making the video because I know a lot of people are just gonna ask, what are you gonna do for your Atlas? What is the Atlas strategy for 3.5? And I think I have decided what I'm gonna do. Obviously, barring any weird stuff, any cool meta stuff coming out in the new 4 maps, I think. Well, first things first, I think they took out like Torture Chamber, George, there's a couple other ones, and they added in 4 new ones. So the Atlas bonus is still 159 after 159. I don't really agree with that. I think that should be 163. Because I mean, look at these like bald spots on like the right side, and then like the top here. Like they could have easily just added those like maybe 3 maps here, 1 map here, but like whatever, it's not such a big deal. And another thing to say as a little preface is that the last time they talked about monster density was back in that patch when they said that like the more linear maps would have less monsters, and then like the longer to clear, more confusing maps like the dungeon layouts would have more monsters. So since I haven't said anything since then, I think it's safe to assume that monster pack size for the different maps are staying the same, right? Because monster density is such a core part of the game that if they were going to change that, they would have some kind of development manifesto by now. And I mean, there's still like a week or so until the release, so things could change. But this is just going on the information that we have. So we'll keep in mind that everything I say is going forward with the assumption that the monster density on the maps is the same. Okay. And so what is going to be my strategy? Well, I have 2 of them that I might do, and I'll go over what those are. So the first one will be, it will always be a T16 strategy, rushing that as fast as possible. So we have a Chaney's here, and then we have an Underground Sea here. So those are going to be the 2 ones that I decide between. So let's talk about Chaney's first. And Chaney's here, as you can see, it is very nice, and it's like 4 sextants here, right? Starts off as a tier 1 easy tabbies and things like that. Now, why is like 4 sextants good? Well, 4 sextants is good because if you look at like UGS from this currently Delve League, 4 sextants is always nice because if you don't do your Jardians, right? Like let's say you're trying to self-sustain your tier 16, then you don't feel like you're missing out on one, right? Because let's say you complete everything, you get 5 sextants, and there's actually like 5 sextants. Like for example, let's say you're running excavation or something, and you hit it with 5 sextants on a T16. You're kind of like, to self-sustain that map, you aren't going to be doing 5 seconds. You're going to be doing 4, and you're kind of like it's like an emotional and like psychological thing. You're like, man, I'm missing out on 1 sextant. But if it only gets hit with 4 sextants, then you don't feel like you're losing out, right? Because you use the max sextants, and you can unshape your Jardians, and then just keep self-sustaining. It's amazing. So 3 white sextants, that's awesome too, right? The cheapest sextants that you're using. Of course, if you're self-sustaining your Cheneys, you're going to use a red sextant here. But in the Delve League, as you seen, that the red sextants aren't that much more expensive than the yellows, so it's not too big a deal. Now, why is Chaney's good? Obviously, it has humilities. Now, being a tier 1, more people like noobs might farm it a little bit more, maybe more tabbies on the market. But in Delve League, divines were 4-5 to 1. Exalt, at the middle end of the league, so I mean that's great, right? If you've ever like farmed Cheneys with like juiced up, like especially if you've whaled the map, so it's as corrupted, sometimes you get like 4 or 5 humilities in 1 map if you're lucky, and so the variance on dropping the humilities is super low, meaning that you will get humilities and you will get lots of them, hundreds of them, with some consistent farming. And if you do a few maps and you get a divine, and then like you keep doing it, it's a very reasonable amount of exalts to make just from the divination cards, not even counting the other things that you're going to get. Now, what about the map layout and the monster count? It's pretty good. I've tested it. Now, if you're going to do the layout, lots of people don't like the layout because they think it's a lot of backtracking, but there's only like a tiny bit of backtracking in the very beginning and a little tiny bit in the middle sometimes, but you just do a figure 8. You do a figure 8, and then you do another figure 8, and then you zoom to the boss, and it's actually really easy to clear. Maybe I'll make a video on that later on, but yeah, Chaney's is great layout. It is also, one thing about Chaney's is that in my anecdotal experience, Chaney's drops really good maps in terms of the rate at which it drops maps. So I would say it's on par with Haunties, and I would say it's even on par with Underground Sea up here. Now, I don't have like the raw data because it's just like a feeling. I only tested raw data with UGS and like Haunties and like stuff like that, but it is actually amazing. And so why else should you do Chaney's? Well, Chaney's is also good because if you think about it, if you are going to like, you have to think about like opportunity cost and like what you would run on a map, right? So if you look at my previous video about Beyonds versus Harbingers, the Beyonds was actually much worse than the Harbingers. So like if you ran Beyonds, it made the map much more fun. It is by far the most fun and most XP that you can get out of a Zaba mod. And Harbings was the best map sustain in Delve. So what I mean by that is Beyonds was like 80 something out of 100 map sustain, but if I ran Harbinger, I got 131 maps out of 100 with the way that I was rolling it. So why is that important to Chaney's? Well, Chaney's is horrible for Beyond. It is so bad for Beyond that if you run the Beyond mod, you might not even feel like the Beyonds are spawning in because the monsters are so spread apart. The portals that will like try to coagulate are so far apart, so you won't really get that much juice out of it. So that makes it very safe, and you don't feel bad that you're not running Beyond, right? For example, if you don't run Beyond on an underground seat, you actually feel bad, right? It's like, ugh, I'm getting a lot of maps, but like, oh man, the Beyond spawn is so good here that I should be running Beyond for extra returns, because even if you don't get map drops as the explicit drop, you're gonna get so much juice from the Beyond monsters that's going to more than make up the ability to just buy the maps with the loot that the Beyond drops, right? If that makes any sense. So with Chaney, you don't have to worry about that. It's because Beyond is so bad, you can purely focus on the best Zaba mod that will be for map sustain. So maybe in Betrayal League, it'll be Harbinger, right? We know that Harbinger is the best so far, but Betrayal might add like monsters and stuff to the to the maps themselves, which will change it, but we'll get there, okay? So what we're looking at is, we know that you don't have to run Beyond, which will lead to more like self-sustained map drops, and then you can run like Domination maybe, if that's back next league, and then maybe Harbinger if that's back next league, whichever one you want, right? Harbinger is the tried and true. Domination I'm really looking forward to, because the monsters are already on the map spawning around the divine shrine, or not divine shrine, around the shrine, so you don't need to like wait for the Harbies to spawn. It speeds up the map a little bit, and the shrines themselves, you know, the damage ones, the defensive ones, and the acceleration especially will actually make it faster sustained, in a sense of you're clearing faster, right? That's pretty awesome. And so that's one thing to know. You don't have to worry about Beyond on this, and you can just focus on the self-sustain. And self-sustain is really fun because everyone knows buying maps is complete ass. And then once again, I'm talking about this from a pure T16 standpoint. Okay, so that's the that's like the Chaney farm that I might do there. It's gonna be really good. I'm looking forward to it. I love this map. A lot of people don't, but I really think you should give it a try. Once you figure out like the little like 2 figure 8s, and then you just go to the boss. Very easy to do. Okay, and once again, anecdotally, I think that Chaney's drops amazing map returns. Okay, that's pretty cool. Next one is UGS. So I don't really need to talk too much about UGS here, and the reason I feel like I don't need to is because the map just speaks for itself in all the previous leagues. You know, people have gotten the fastest to 100, like the 100 race at the beginning of the league. They do UGS T16. The Beyond spawns on it are absolutely crazy. The native monsters are both easy and dense. The boss is easy. There's monsters leading up to the boss, so even though it's in a different room, you're killing monsters on the way there, and then so you get all your stacks, all your charges and stuff like that. The boss has no phases. It's a one-phase Merveil. You know, there's just like a lot of monsters in that room too. So it just like everything about this map lends itself to being really awesome. Now, if you're like a shield charge Whirling Blades build, you might not like this map, right? Because you run into stuff a little bit. But like any Queen of the Forest move speed build is gonna love Underground Sea. It is so amazing, and through talking to other people, you know, the map sustain, if you run the right Zob mods, is also incredible, just because of the pure number of monsters in there, right? So like, I'm not gonna talk too much about this. It is it looks like it's a 5 sextant. Now, of course, if you're gonna self-sustain it, you're gonna have 4 sextants, right? Because you're not gonna clear your Jardians in the center here. Okay, and this is also going off an assumption that you see how they have 4 sextants here and Shapers cleared. Now this is a new icon in the middle, but I don't think this means that an Uber Elder killed, because I don't. Some people were mentioning that, hey, maybe like sextants got reduced by 1, so maximum is only 4. No, I don't think that's the case, because if you kill Shaper, it doesn't give you 1. You have to kill Uber Elder on the Zaba quest to get 5 sextants. And I think what this means is whoever's Atlas this was screenshotted when they posted it, it just means they cleared everything and they killed Shaper, but they didn't do their Uber Elder quest for an additional +1. So there's no reason to think that like sextants got subtracted by 1 somehow, right? Because that'd be kind of weird, you know what I'm saying? So So that's pretty cool there. And then another thing to think about is, let's just talk about like the overarching reasons why you might want to do a T16. And this is through like massive amounts of T16 runs and data that I have, and trade experiences that I have. And so T16s are a very interesting map in the sense that you can sell them for more if you have bulk. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is that weird thing where, like, as a seller, you're like, oh, if you're selling at bulk, I should get a discount, right? If I buy like 10 shaped toxic sewers, it shouldn't be 40C, it should be 30C, because I'm doing you a favor. But no, that's not the case. At T16, it's the other way around. People who can afford the T16s are willing to pay more, in some cases 10C or 10C per map more, in order to buy the maps faster. And this also applies to a small part of the T14s and T15s, and then of course regular map sales from the T11s to T13s all the way up through the beginning of the league are very good as well. And so what do I mean by that? So in my testing, if I can get, and from other people have corroborated this, if I can get about 30 plus map returns, let's say I'm fully juicing my maps, and I get 30 map returns per 100 maps run, right? And in my experience, I've been able to sell them, and this is not like streamer advantage or anything, because I sell most of my maps off stream, because like on stream it's like horrible content, just be like counting out maps and selling them and stuff. So off stream, I've oftentimes sold Elder maps for 40C each, at least, and that's crazy in bulk, right? So that means if I run 100 maps, I get 30, let's say I get 30 maps back, okay? And I sell them for 40C, that's 1200C. Even if you sell them for 30C, that's 900C for every 100 maps you run, right? That's crazy. And that's not counting the stuff that you'll drop in that map, collecting that, and that's more money as well. So that's absolutely insane. And so with either like this is like the in-demand maps, right, that people want to run, and you have to remember, lots of people have to buy a little base pool. People like to buy like a pool of 10, 20 maps to get themselves started, and so if you have an Underground Sea, you have a Chaney's, I don't know, whatever else comes to the meta, the 4 new maps, maybe they're amazing, maybe the Dead Sea is amazing, maybe the divination cards in them drop frequently, who knows, that might shake up the meta. But for now, let's just go with UGS and like Haunties, right? Haunties is right here, pretty nice too, except for it's more yellow sections, but whatever. And then and Chaney's, so like you could sell these really easily. And then if you watch my stream at all, it's like sometimes I will sell the 15-14s in bulk. The T15, T14s, T15 all throughout the league is at least 10C, with that number going much higher the early it is to the beginning of the league. So at the beginning of the league, you might sell a carcass for 20 to 30C, and at the end of the league, it never goes below 10C. And if you watch me, like I sold bulk of because like when you run T16 strategy, you drop so many of the red maps that you can sell them 60 at a time, 30 at a time, whatever you have, and just make sure you use the POE, the POE.trade. You can do the currency shop and then put your ratios for the shape maps or the regular maps, right? And so like especially like shape sieges and things like that in Delve, I was able to sell 60 at a time for 10C, right? 30 at a time of other maps for 10C. So that's 300 to 600C at a time for just selling these red maps that you'll never run, because once again you're sustaining your T16s, right? So all these other maps are pretty much like trash to you, and then that'll feed back into funding the T16s, okay? And then remember, at the beginning of the league, even these other red maps will sell like 5, 10C a piece, and of course you're willing to do those trades early in the league, so that'll add up as well. Now, another thing I want to talk about is a little bit of a little sneaky thing of T16s, right? So T16s are interesting in a way that once you have a huge currency pool built up, you can do a tricky thing where you see the T16s and you can horizon orb them. So one thing that I did this league is I looked at what T16s were selling for a lot, and I'd horizon orb other maps into it. Now, and let me explain the rules real quick. If you have a T16 Eldered map, let's just say it's a Strand. Well, I can't show you Strand here because it's no longer tier 4, I don't think, right? But let's say Delve League. Strand is a tier 4. If you have an Elder Strand map and you use a Horizon Orb on it, it cannot go to any other T16. It only goes to another T16 in which the base tier is in. So Strand, if you use a Horizon Orb, it will in Delve League, it became either a City Square, a Courthouse, a Grotto, and a George. Now, all 4 of these were big sellers, okay? And so what you could do is, for example, you could take something, and you could apply this to any tier 3, burial chambers, tier 5, like what have you, right? And toxic sewers and stuff like that. So what does this mean? This means that you were able to buy the T16s. Let's say you could buy a really cheap T16, 21C for bulk, 23C for bulk. This was very common prices at a certain point in the Delve League. you could use the horizon orbs on the tier 4, right? Like what's another tier 4 that's like really cheap? Relic chambers. People have like a 50 to 50 plus stock of relic chambers. I don't know why they did that, but anyways, and then you could Horizon Orb, and you're gonna be like, well, it's at random, right? No, it's not, because the other options, Grotto, City Square, Courthouse, and whatever, they were, it was like a big percentage of what it could turn into. So it was the gains that you would make for selling in bulk in like a 40C increment was way more than you would spend in the Horizons, right? Because let's say the Horizons was 1-1C at a certain time, and you use 5 Horizons to get a map that people wanted. You would make from going from like 20, like low 20s to selling for 40C, 15C profit at least, right? So it was crazy what you could do by horizoning a shitty map and then turning it into a wanted map and then selling those in bulk for higher prices. So this is like a little bit like more like sneaky stuff that you can do, but like T16 strategies are so good for this, right? Because it just allows you for more the margin, like your profit margin is just going to be so much greater than if you did a T10 or T11. Now, I might have to start with like a T6 Chaney's because I just like to play pretty casual while I buy like the completion for all this stuff. I'm waiting for Elder completion because my builds are usually map based, so they do a specific thing very well, which is run maps, but they don't kill the bosses very well. So this might be delayed a little bit for me, but I'm dying. I'm literally dying. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Should have muted my mic, but I'm always afraid of muting my mic these days because it might like mute the whole video. Okay, so there's just so much for your time spent and per trade. It is so much more worth to do T16s than anything else. Okay, and that's why I really stress doing that strategy. Now, once again, there could be changes to the Atlas, there could be changes in monster density, there could be changes to diff cards, like so many little things, changes the build even. There could be so many little things that kind of tweak this and make this like what I'm saying right now no longer true. I don't know, right? I haven't played the league yet. We just have to play the league and see. And but so that's why I'm going to. So to review once again, T16 strategy for sure, focusing on Chaney's and UGS. Now, honorable mention Haunties maybe, but I like these two. And then of course selling all the red maps and all the other things as quick as you can, and then especially in bulk once you get your self-sustain going. Personally, I don't like my whole thing was like sustaining without the influence, right? I was always sustaining without influence because like even if you had to do like 20 maps, or you can do 20 of the map you want, and you have to do one map to cut off Elder or whatever. I don't want to do that. I want to do the same map that I want to do over and over without having to worry about like this maintenance stuff, right? Because one thing I really don't like about the game currently is maintenance. Like, you run a map and then you gotta put in your fragments, you gotta check for sextants, you gotta check for Zavamod. It's so annoying. Okay, you gotta check for reflect when you're rolling monsters. It's like, oh man, give me a break. And that's another reason why Chaney's is pretty good, because Chaney's takes longer to run than the other current meta maps. Chaney's will give you this sense of you're actually playing the game longer, and instead of playing like like Sextant Fragment Simulator 2018, right? And that's super annoying. So that's my Atlas strategy, and I hope you guys take something away from this, and you can have some fun next week. I think that next week is gonna be very fun. I'm very excited for it, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Okay, thank you everyone. Bye.